Nice. VIX. So this thing stopped at 30. No idea why. So let's go look for that 30. It is coming from maybe it overshot a bit, but I'm not sure where it overshot into or what stopped VIX from going higher. We could argue about this number here, this falling demand here, but I'm not sure. I don't think that's the issue. Uh, well, there has to be something other than just technicals at play. Uh, well, we knew all the scenarios, how it's going to play out. We were watching interest rates. We knew how the interest rates would go out. We knew how the Bitcoin would pan out. We had all that information. But despite all of that, or even in fact, we kind of figured out how oil is going to play out. Despite all of that, the reason that I was thinking about an upside is simply because of the seasonality. But that thing did not take effect so far as it should have. So, uh, but still, futures still are kind of in a place where you can still look for a bounce on the switch to futures right there. So this is a number we came down. Futures came down pretty hard actually. Uh, 30, 40 points, whatever that was, came down pretty decent. And where did it stop? Uh, I don't believe this is the end to it. Most likely, throughout the day, I think it will keep melting down. But this bounce is pretty valid here. This is oversold on the lower time frame, so this bounce is pretty decent and pretty valid. Last night when charting, it was about here. We were looking for this push, and probably I would have expected it to push into this 8 here, which was sitting at around 42.56. Did not happen. It stopped somewhere around here, 42.50. It stopped around 42.50 and continued to push down. Not too terrible, but still where we stopped, it was from where we stopped, it wasn't too terrible. But if you look at the data from Friday, this is still very steep push down, better than 140 points. So yeah, let's see from here. 42.18, whatever the bottom was, it bounced about into the mean. So this was supposed to happen. This got resolved. Now there is still enough ammo here on the lower time frames on the 1 hour and the 4 hour for it to keep continuing its push into most likely this number here, 42.56, rather 42.54, and a breather there perhaps, and then most likely push into this number, 42.78. That's my expectation from the futures. So the test will come right here at the mean, and if it should it clear the mean at around 42.50, then we'll look for a push into 42.63, and then ultimately a push into 42.80, or maybe 42.80 is a bit too much to ask, but let's put the base case there. Right here it is hitting the mean. So if it clears the mean and then next is 42.62, then let's put the base case at around 42.80. Yeah, let's place the base case at 42.80 or 42.82. Might not happen in a straight line, but let's put the base case there. If that clears, then we'll look for a push into 43, 47. But as of right now, not really plotting that. Then 42.80, yeah, 42.80 is what I'm plotting right now. Beyond 42.80, I think 42.91, and then a push into 4300. Uh, Even let's see how it behaves here. If we catch a bounce there, let's see how it behaves here. So my understanding is that right now it's hitting the mean. Obviously, it was supposed to bounce, but why was it obvious bounce? Because most of the stocks were in the same boat as the indices. They were kind of sold out on the 1 hour and 4 hour time frames, and so it's a bounce. So let's push into SPX and change window right there. Who's that? Is another way would say what puts it open. Are you holding spy calls from other? Yeah, I am. I am. I will hold on to that. $300 I paid for that, so I'm gonna hold on to that. My son thinks you are Thor from your picture. What? Thor? Yeah, I got 300 once. Jump into this one right here. This is the 15-minute SPY. It is bouncing just like the futures, and I would want to see this bounce continue. And this is the regular candles for SPY. So it's going to go hit this number and take a breather. And if the breather is successful, after the breather, I'm still looking for an upside. And this is the 1 hour chart. So on the 1 hour chart, this is what I'm seeing right now. Oversold conditions for SPY on the 1 hour chart. So I'm expecting it to start to push back up 324 and most likely here 325.43. So expecting a breather somewhere from 324. I'm expecting it to push into 325.50 or 325.40. Let's reassess the situation here. Most likely it should clear this, but not in a straight line. It should clear this and push into this number about here 328.11 through 329. This is what I'm expecting from SPY as of where things stand, simply because, again, this whole thing is oversold. So this is a technical bounce. And besides that, this is the 4 hour chart for this is the Heikanashi and this is the regular. So it has left its 5 on the 1 hour, getting oversold here, getting oversold here. So expecting a bounce clearly into this 5, 426.90 something. So if it clears there, then we'll look for a bounce and push into 429.86. So based on this data, when it closed about here, why are we looking at Qs? X. All right. So the problem was not really with the SPY, but rather the problem was with this index, IXIC, Tech Heavy Index. And my expectation was Nasdaq to push here to this line. So that's what happened towards the end of the day, and it kind of kept going after that. The index closed here, but the ETF kind of still went pushed past that. And if the ETF starts to push below, this is where I think it should go 319.16 for Qs. For Qs, right now this is what the downside would be 319.16. And let's get back to SPX. So SPX starting to push up. Right. So the base case you could look for SPY is 427, and a good to have would be 430. Uh, and Yep, 425.50, probably 430. So my understanding is that it should come up to this number. If it can clear here, 426.90, 427, I think it should start to push into 430. But nothing is guaranteed, of course, but we'll still look for that upside. If it fails here, we'll go short on that. 432, not really expecting it to come back into 432. So here's the SPY daily, expecting 4,300, somewhere around 4,300. So will it bounce about 100 points from where it closed? Maybe, I don't know. I 30 points, sorry, 30 points from where it closed. Yeah, most likely there's a very good chance that it would happen around 430. There's a very good chance. Not asking for much, 30 points from where it closed and about 50 points from where it will open right now. let's see how that goes. And let me switch my screen. Right. So now here is the main thing, Apple. This thing pushes up, everything will push up, no doubt there. And this was oversold on Friday. Even it was oversold and it came back down. Even now, it is hitting those levels that it should bounce off of. Uh, it had it come down another dollar around 157, that would have been nice. Dollar 50, that would have been really nice. But it did not. It stopped here at 159.30, and it's starting to push up from there. It is hitting its five. We'll take a breather. After that, it'll start pushing into its eight. My expectation is still to push into 164, but no guarantees as such in this market. Nobody wants to hold a long position, and then turns out that we are the only one holding those long positions. But still, let's see how this plays out. And if it plays out the way I am expecting it to play out, then most likely it will push into 164, and the mean is still sitting at 164.50. So hopefully that will pan out for the best. This is still oversold, still expecting it to push into the averages are still starting to point out or point up. 162, I'll take it. Why not? I'll take it. And the Apple on the daily, this is where the trouble is starting to show up. So Apple bounced off of this number, 159, 159.50, somewhere on that. So it bounced off of 159.30. So somewhere around here, 159.30, rounds off of this number. So I would have much rather wanted to come back into this number, 158.90, and then bounce off of this number. So now what does that mean? So after probably it's gonna hit this number right at the open, and probably this number, then it will start to push down. 159.15. Apple did 159.15. Still no good. No good. It had to come back down into this number for the 200 and hit the 200, and that would have been a very valid push. But it did not do that. So there's a very good expectation you can have from Apple. Come back into this number, starts to push into this number. And 159.50. Nice, nice. So let's see how this works out. Ephemeral bounce, most likely, and then perhaps push down into this number right here, into its 200 moving average on the daily, unless there's a data point on the weekly, and probably not. There's no data point on the weekly. Monthly, 160, 150, it hit that number. I don't believe there's anything on the monthly as well. So yeah, but immediate bounce. After the bounce, I'm still expecting it to come back down into this number, then probably push into this number, 158.90 or 159. This is what my expectation from Apple. Nvidia and all that, not really interested, but Microsoft. So this we talked at length about Microsoft last night. But this is still the point that I think Microsoft should go to, and I'll be looking to play the ID on Microsoft as well, and as well as Facebook. For Microsoft, let's go back into this chart. This chart, just like Apple, oversold, and obviously a push into eight, and then if it clears there, a push into five, then push into eight, 275. So that should give us enough time for our, and if it clears here 275, then there's a good shot at 279. Uh, but again, given the market conditions, nobody is willing to hold any of this long. So I believe everything would be a trade. Everybody will want to dump. So after the trade, everybody would want to dump unless institutional investors figures out there's They don't want to hold anything short. Right now, I don't believe there are a lot of people short these stocks simply because they don't know how the earnings would turn out. So majority of the market participants, they are not short. Simply they are hedging their either they are exiting their positions or hedging their positions. What does that mean? Is that they are not actively shorting it. They have long positions. They are simply trying to hedge those positions using either puts or some other collateral sort of thing. Even and if they are into a position which might be oversized, or simply they don't want to take an additional risk, they are de-risking just by selling out of those positions, but they are not really actively shorting this thing. When I say actively shorting, something like Roku that was actively shorted, something like on Netflix that was actively shorted, something like on Facebook that was actively shorted. I don't believe that's the case with Microsoft or Apple. So 1 hour, it is showing it's oversold, so push up, most likely a push into 278. Same thing, watching this chart, getting oversold here, looking for a push into 279, probably into whatever this number is, 5, then 8. That's what my expectations is. And if the short covering rally, sparks frantic buying, then probably it should push into its mean, somewhere around 280 to 81. That's my expectation from Microsoft and Apple. If these two starts to push, obviously the market will start to push, and at least a short covering rally. So right now, VIX is coming back into its support point, 28.85, looking for a bounce around that area. And most likely, I would want to see it break below that area. And it's sitting at 8, and the RSI has come down, so probably an ephemeral bounce, but the average is still pointing down on the hourly. So I'm expecting this to continue to push down and most likely come into 27 area. Then this is where it should head into 27.21, and the mean is sitting at 26.75. So give or take 27. So let's see how that works out. And the reason I'm looking for that is this is about to cross, and stochastics has crossed, and this thing is overbought. 20%, I think 25% on Friday. Don't believe that is sustainable. Just like if it had if the index would have pushed like 4 or 5 percentage to the upside, that would have been unsustainable. Just like that, I'm expecting VIX that high to be unsustainable, technically speaking. So it had to come back down 5, 8, and now expecting a hit of 21. Let's see how that plays out. As of now, I'm as of at the open, not really willing to put on any bets. I'll be holding on to my calls at the open, and if the market goes south, I'll simply exit that trade. Would I am not the person who would hold on to anything for hope. I wanna if the markets turn south, I would want to exit with the minimum loss possible, and I could put on the same trade again. One more thing, this one, Bitcoin. So there is some weird correlation going on between Bitcoin and the markets. So what does that mean? I am using this as an indicator to gauge whether it's a risk on or risk off environment. If I see Bitcoin, people deleveraging or selling out of Bitcoin, Bitcoin starting to push down, that is, I think, that is sort of a general consensus or general thought process of Bitcoin, risk off environment. And last night, if you were in charting, we were looking for this data point, the BTC to hit this number right here. We got that number, and most likely it should start to push up from here. And that's what we are seeing happening here. How long will it push? I don't know. How far it can go? I have no idea. But still, I think there is still a bit to the upside. The mean is sitting at 39. Let it clear the mean. If it clears the mean, I think there's a good I think there's a good chance of 39.5. There's a very good chance of that happening after the mean clears. If not, we'll start to push down, and after this push down here, we could still look for a push down into probably 37 or 38, then most likely 36. This would tank the market. If this happens, 36 happens, then you could easily say that the market's gonna push down very easily. You don't even have to look at the markets. But for now, I'm hoping that this would continue its push up. The technicals are there. The MACD is crossing over on the 1 hour, so I'm hopeful that it will continue into its mean. Probably will reassess the situation around 339, and most likely into 39 too. And let's see how that plays out. Uh, Facebook, I'm looking to short it. Not right at the open, but on any given, if it runs into, if it runs even a little too far, I'm looking to short Facebook. Uh, 195 around that number would be, if it comes back up to that number, I think I'll go short Facebook, and I think Facebook will have to come back into uh, most likely here. 170 is where I think Facebook will push into. And this would happen if Apple starts to push down into its 200, which is about 159 or 158.90 or something like that. So watch Apple, and then VIX, and most likely looking for Facebook is particularly vulnerable here. And my trade of the week would be Amazon. I'm not really looking to get involved right away with Amazon. Most likely, I'll wait for 1 day before earnings for to get involved with Amazon. And this chart is supportive throughout the market. This chart is pretty supportive on the 1 hour. Microsoft looked the same. Apple looked the same, and VIX to the upside, to the downside looked the same. And we had the other one, which was on that Apple, Microsoft, and I think VIX and SPY all look the same, right? So we're still tracking this and push into this most likely 28.99. So maybe 290, 2900. So let's reassess the situation there after 20 points to the upside. By that time, I think we should be, if this clears here, then we are looking for a push into 29.53. So basically, what I'm betting on is a short covering rally. That's what I'm betting on. And there is a very good chance of that happening simply because this is the earnings week and nobody wants to short, unknown stuff. There's a very good chance the tech might go down because of the sentiment that Netflix has put forth. But just in case the earnings, and these companies are not like moms and pops shops. This is Facebook. We're talking about Microsoft, Apple, Google, those. So nobody wants to get caught shorting any of that stuff in the event they are on the other side of the trade. Last time Amazon ran like what 300 points on earnings, so nobody want to get caught shorting that thing if that happens. So bear that in mind. Same thing with Google last time. Same thing with Apple last time. It ran up $11. So keep that in mind. All right, so that's pretty much my expectation from today, and most likely I'll be looking into bank stocks today for me to tell that which if the financials start to get strong, I think the market this rally will start to grow legs. That's what my understanding is. All right. So that being said, 4 minutes to open, and I'll see you in Sanity. Good luck.